And now, a very, very special Words of Wisdom with Adam Carriker.
So I get on my Twitter this week, and I've got a tweet from my good friend Philip Daniels, and he says to me, just found out from Joseph Daly that at Adam Carriker 94 used to throw the football 80 yards. So you used to be athletic at one point. I respond to him in kind, just found out Notre Dame used to actually win national championships. Who knew?
The shots are fired on 4th and Pain, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. He's Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker.
Go Big Red.
Former wrestling announcer and weight loss champion Chuck Carroll. This here is 4th and Pain. Thanks so very much for making us a part of your Sunday morning. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at 4th and Pain. And oh my goodness, you know, he leaves the team, but he never leaves your heart. You and Philip Daniels just cannot seem to stay out of each other's hair.
Well, you know, he's the second strongest guy, or he used to be. He's probably like the 40th strongest guy now. But, you know, we're still good friends. We like to take shots at each other on Twitter. A couple of fans got involved, and we were like, hey, just chill out. You know, we're firing shots here, but, you know, we're good friends. So don't worry. It's nothing personal.
And best of luck to him as he left his team as, I believe, director of player development to pursue a career as an author. He's going to write a book, and as he said on Twitter, it's time to keep it real. So very interested to see what Philip Daniels has to say. Hopefully he's got a chapter in there about his appearance on 4th and Pain. But Adam, let us start the show by talking about this week's big NFL news, and that is the NFL Combine. And I came across a very interesting report this week. You know, I don't know if you as a player are aware, but now they have what they call regional combines for, it's essentially the walk-on of NFL tryouts. You know, you have walk-on days at college. You get the same thing at the NFL. I don't believe that there's ever been a player at one of these regional combines to actually make it onto an NFL roster. But I read a report online this week that says that the NFL may be toying with the idea of turning these regional combines into a reality TV show where the winners of them would then advance to the major combine in Indianapolis, where the real NFL scouts and the real NFL coaches get a chance to evaluate him. What is your thought on that? Is that just too much of a circus?
So the players at these regional combines, they otherwise would not get to go to the big combine in Indianapolis, correct?
Absolutely. We're talking about USFL, maybe, what's that now, defunct league, the Arena League, something like that, any one of those leagues, guys that just don't belong on an NFL field.
I think, I think it would be great for TV. I think fans would be interested. Everybody wants to root for the underdog. That's why people love March Madness. And actually, I think it would be great for these players because otherwise they're not going to get a chance at the combine, the big combine in Indy, to show what they can do. I love the idea all around. I think it's a good shot for guys who otherwise wouldn't get an opportunity. And I think it's something that the fans could really support and get into because of the underdog Cinderella story.
Well, I think that the television ratings would be huge, but put yourself in the position of that person that wins that wins that competition. I mean, he's going to be out there with the greatest of the great as far as guys coming out of college. Don't you think that those guys would kind of look down on him a little bit?
Absolutely not. Everybody thinks that everybody should get a chance. And it's like, to me, it's like LeBron with the dunk competition. You know, I hope he's not scared. I hope he's not scared that he's going to lose because these guys from these small schools, if they come into this combine, they're getting looked down on, which would not happen. Guys would actually be rooting for them. I guarantee it. I hope that they're not intimidated because this is what the NFL is about. It's about big opportunities, about showing off what you can do for these scouts. And I think it's a great opportunity they otherwise would not be given.
Level with me, though. How nervous were you when you were at the combine in Indianapolis when you were coming out?
I knew I was going to test well. I actually tested better at my pro day at Nebraska. But to me, the thing that was the most nervous for me was the interviews because you sit down and I won't give out any names or any teams, but there was one team. It's 15-minute interviews, 15-minute segments. And I sat down with one team. We hardly even discussed football. We just joked around. They're like, you belong on this team, so on and so forth. I go into the very next meeting, literally walk from one door to the next because all these teams have their little rooms, and I walk in, and there's about 40 people in the room. and every person in the room comes up and shakes my hand and introduces themselves to me. Some teams only had like 1 or 2 people. All these teams do it differently. And then after I've shook the hand of 40 different people, keep in mind, this is like my 12th meeting of the night, 12th different team, they proceed to ask me, what's that guy's name? Oh, I don't have a clue. What's that guy's name? They asked me like 5 different, I have no clue. And then the coach, this was going to be his first year as a head coach ever. So nobody really knew who he was. They go, who's the head coach of this particular team? Oh, I had no idea. And I must have pointed to the janitor because everyone just bust up laughing. But it was they had the heat turned on in this room. They were obviously putting you in a situation where they did not think you were going to succeed, and they wanted to see how you reacted. And then they proceeded to sit me down, and I watched my 15 worst plays all the way back from my freshman year to my senior year of college, my 15 worst plays of college, and they just grilled me on every single one of them. And so to me, the most nerve-wracking part of the combine was the interviews because I know physically I'm going to do just fine. But you never knew what type of interview you were going to get, what the team was going to do, how they were they going to be funny and joking, or were they just going to grill you to death? And to me, that's the most nerve-wracking part.
Man, and especially for a kid that's chasing a dream, has wanted to be in the NFL his entire life. You obviously were projected to go very high in the draft even before the NFL Combine, but for a kid that, we're talking about a 6th or a 7th round or even going undrafted, that's got to rattle him quite a bit, no?
Well, to be honest with you, that's just part of the NFL. I mean, when you get on the field, you're playing in front of millions of fans. You're out in the stadium with 80, 90,000 people. If you play well, they're going to love you. If you don't, you're either going to be without a job or you're going to be hated. It's just the pressures of the NFL, and that it is what it is.
Yeah, well, I could talk about this all day. Obviously, you and I were probably, Adam, just giving you fair warning, going to have more conversations about this off the air. But as of right now, we got to move on.
And now it's time for the best segment, the highlight of our show every week. I'm going to bring in my beautiful wife, Angie Carriker. Mrs. Carriker, how you doing?
I'm good.
All right, so let's get right to it. What is going on in the big wide world out there? What is the pulse?
Michael Jordan and the big talk of him possibly making a comeback, I believe, is what's all over the sports news right now.
I believe that's our little girl you can hear in the background. She's doing mommy duty and she's doing radio duty, 2 for 1 today. So here's my question: Do you think it would damage his legacy at all if he came back? Because you obviously wouldn't be one of the top players in the league, but do you think it would damage his legacy to come back and just be, let's say, average or a little better than average in the NBA?
I mean, I think he would be average, but I mean, to compete with like the starting 5 of an NBA team, I just don't see that.
It is a horrible, horrible idea. It would tarnish his legacy. He put it in jeopardy when he returned and played for the Washington Wizards after he retired from the Chicago Bulls for a second time. Put his legacy in jeopardy there. We saw how that worked out. He was not his former self then. And so you flash forward about 10 years now, God only knows how much further he's deteriorated. Adam, it's just not a good idea.
I'm going to tell you what. I love it. And I'll tell you why. I love that he tried to play baseball. He had established himself as the best basketball player on earth, and he tried to do something that very few other people have done. Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson go pro in a sport twice. I love the fact that he wants to come back at 50. Nobody's expecting Kobe or LeBron out of him. They're expecting a guy who's average or better than average. I love when people try to do the impossible or defy what people say they can do. I have nothing but respect for that, and I don't think it would damage his legacy at all. The man is 50. How good can he be? That's my take on it.
Well, here's my take. And I'm glad that you're excited. I'm glad that you're on board with this. The real question, though, is with that struggling Charlotte Bobcats franchise, how much help he could actually provide that. That's the thing that you need to keep in mind. Is he better than the majority of players on that current roster? And the only way that I can see this scenario being plausible is if he could genuinely prove himself to be an improvement over what's currently on the hardwood.
Well, one last question, because we're running out of time here. And this is for you, honey. Angie, not Chuck. This is for you. What team, let's say he doesn't have to play for Charlotte. He's not an owner. He doesn't have to play for his own team. What team, if he came back and played, do you think he would best fit on?
Well, I think he should go to the Bulls because we all know he looks good in a Bulls uniform. So we'll stick with that.
What about you, Charles?
I say if you own the Bobcats, you go to the Bobcats or you go to the Pelicans because God knows they're going to need something to distract them from that hideous name.
I can't argue with that. I'm not a Lakers fan. I don't like the Lakers whatsoever. I'm sick of seeing him in the media every day. But I would say the Lakers. I don't want to see him with LeBron because everyone wants to see Jordan and LeBron go at each other. I want to see him on the same team as Kobe Bryant. I want to see how that would play out.
Well, that could be fun. That could definitely be fun, but that is all a pipe dream because I'm telling you both right now, the chances of this happening are slim and none, and Slim is eating a cake. Just saying.
Well, thanks for joining us, sweetie. We appreciate it, as always.
Yes, and Addison's happy she can be on the show today, too.
Hi, Addison. Be good for Mommy.
Making her radio debut. And Angie, as Adam said, thank you so very much for joining us. Be sure to give Angie a follow on Twitter at Angie Carriker. Angie, how many followers are you up to now?
I don't know. I've been so busy with kids and everything. I have not checked Twitter in a while, actually.
Follow this woman, and I'm going to get her to tweet more, and you guys follow her, and we will get her going a little bit better on Twitter here. She's a little over 300, so we need to get those followers up, folks.
I have no doubt that you can overtake me within a month if you put your hard work into it.
I will try.
All right, don't go anywhere. This is Fourth and Pain. On the other side, we're going to switch gears, talk a lot about pro wrestling. Very special guest, Dave Scherer from PWInsider.com. This is Fourth and Pain.